My name is Bill Bach. The NCAA's disregard of Title IX, a law passed more than 50 years ago to create equal opportunity for women, and the NCAA's senseless, unscientific pursuit of a political agenda is leaving in its wake a shameful legacy of injured female student athletes. Last week in a federal court in Atlanta, Georgia, 16 courageous young female athletes stood up to the NCAA and said Title IX must not be stolen from women and misappropriated by men to provide a vehicle for men to compete in women's sport. Title IX requires that these women be treated with dignity and equality. They have a hope that the promises made to them through Title IX will be realized in their lifetimes and enjoyed by their daughters and future generations of women. Their lawsuit summarizes their grievances: that the NCAA has imposed a radical anti-woman agenda on college sports, redefined women as a testosterone level, permitted men to compete on women's teams, destroyed female safe spaces in women's locker rooms by authorizing naked men possessing full male genitalia to disrobe in front of non-consenting college women, and created situations in which female college athletes unwittingly expose their bodies to males, subjecting women to a loss of their constitutional right to bodily privacy. Icons is here because the dreams of the women whose struggles birthed Title IX will not be extinguished. And as this lawsuit against the NCAA shows, Icons is here to provide an avenue for justice for America's female athletes. Thank you, and I'd like to turn the program over to Marcy and Kim, the founders of Icons.
Good afternoon. My name is Marcy Smith, and this is Kim Jones. We're the co-founders of Icons, the independent council on women's sports. Kim was an All-American tennis player at Stanford, and I am a former NCAA champion backstroker from the University of Arizona. Standing on the top podium at the NCAA Swim and Dive Championships, just like women will do tonight here at the University of Georgia pool, was one of the single greatest accomplishments of my life. 2 years ago, I watched in total devastation and disbelief as the NCAA allowed a man to take that honor away from a deserving woman in front of a world stage. Kim had already had a front row seat to the surrender of records and awards all season in the Ivy League as she watched her daughter, the oldest of 4 collegiate swimmers, asked to compare herself athletically next to a man in race after race. Immediately following Leah Thomas's victory over some of the fastest female Olympians, my teammates from the University of Arizona sent a collaborative letter asking the NCAA, do we have a voice? Do women have a voice when the NCAA is determining the rules that discriminate against our sex? The NCAA has never responded to us. The passion and conviction to preserve the rights of our daughters drove Kim and I together to found a nonpartisan nonprofit network of female athletes and their supporters to be that voice for women and girls in sports and demand that the NCAA do what is right, even if it is against their will. For the past 2 years, our network has sent countless letters, held rallies with a coalition of women's organizations, and appeared numerous times in the media to ask the NCAA to fulfill one simple duty: uphold the law and offer equal opportunities for women in sports. The NCAA has not taken our promise to hold them accountable to the law seriously. They didn't believe that female athletes would stand up to defend themselves in court. They didn't believe that these women had it in them. How wrong they were. Now they face sitting across a courtroom defending a policy championing men in women's sports against a group of the world's most talented and courageous young women, saying we deserve respect, fair competition, and privacy in our locker rooms. At Icons, we're devoted to financially supporting this lawsuit through to the end, to demand justice and respect. The best investment we can think of making is in the future of women's sports. Sports has transformed our lives far beyond the court and the pool, and we will not leave fewer opportunities than we had for our daughters and granddaughters. So please join us in our efforts as we take on the NCAA. Now I'm honored to introduce the first amazing plaintiff here with us today. She is an ACC champion and an Olympian. Please welcome Reiko George.
Good afternoon. My name is Reiko George. I'm a Hungarian Olympian and a college athlete from Virginia Tech. Today, I represent many females who have been forced to compete against men in women's sports. In 2022, I was forced to swim again, a man here in Georgia at the NCAA Swim and Dive Championships. What happened was wrong and unjust, and that is just why I'm speaking up today. As an international student, I came to America to compete in NCAA collegiate swimming because I wanted to train and compete with the best athletes in the world. For many decades, the NCAA has been a light guiding women from countries across the globe to a chance at glory and excellence that we can get back. I was awarded a life-changing full athletic scholarship and the chance to pursue my dream. But the dream of becoming an All-American at the fastest short course swim meet in the world was suddenly washed away 2 years ago. I swam the 500 freestyle in my very last swim meet of my college career. I finished 17th in the prelims, missing the finals by only 1 place because the NCAA had allowed a male swimmer in the women's race to replace me. When I realized I would be watching my race from the pool deck instead of scoring valuable points for my team, all I could do was cry. With support from my coaches and my teammates, I wrote a letter to the NCAA. I told them how heartbroken I was and how unfair the rules had been to not only me, but all the women at the meet. To this day, I have never received a response. I feel we no longer matter to the NCAA. Our feelings are not priority. We are not even worthy of acknowledgement. I stand up today not only for myself, but for all the girls and women in sports who deserve a chance to compete fairly. Watching other women in college sports go through today is too much for me to see and not act. It's time to hold the NCAA accountable for their treatment for women, and I'm proud to stand with so many other young women doing it. Thank you.
Amazing. Next up, we have another swimmer from the University of Kentucky. They build them a little bit different in Kentucky, I'm finding. She is a runner-up at the NCAAs, and she's also an SEC champion. Please welcome Caitlin Wheeler.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Caitlin Wheeler, and I proudly represented the University of Kentucky as a swimmer. I am also a teammate of Riley Gaines, a remarkable athlete who has been really at the forefront of advocating for women in women's sports. Currently, I am one of 16 female athletes who have filed a lawsuit against the NCAA because it is failing in its most basic duties. It is the NCAA's job to protect the fairness and safety of its athletes and to uphold Title IX. However, over the past 2 years, we have witnessed repeated and egregious lapses in these responsibilities. I have personally experienced this failure firsthand. 2 years ago, at the NCAA Women's Championships held in this very state, numerous female athletes, including Riley Gaines, Kylie Allens, Reiko George, and myself, were forced to compete alongside and share our private changing area with a man. At this meet, I watched as trophies, titles, and honors were given to a man self-identifying as a woman in the women's races at the NCAA. I stood by and was appalled. I watched my teammate Riley and many other women who had worked their entire lives to be successful in their sport while a male competitor stole what was rightfully theirs. In a place that I once felt safe, the NCAA thoughtlessly permitted males to invade our locker rooms, our sanctuaries of privacy. It was violating and humiliating, an experience that no woman should ever endure. We had been horribly wronged. We had been betrayed. Yet this betrayal ran deeper than a mere invasion of privacy. This was a betrayal of trust. I stand here today because I believe in fairness and I believe in equal opportunity. Title IX, enacted 52 years ago, was designed precisely for moments like this. I have witnessed firsthand consequences of inaction, and I refuse to stand idly by, along with these other women. It is disheartening that we, the athletes, are forced to hold the NCAA accountable to the law. This responsibility should not fall on our shoulders, yet the failure of the NCAA leadership has left us with no choice. We demand that the NCAA revise its policies and prioritize the protection of its female athletes. We aren't asking for much. In fact, we're asking for the bare minimum. If our current leaders are unwilling to stand for women and stand for what's right, then they must step aside to make room for individuals who possess the courage to do what is right. This fight is not about me. It's not about Riley. Our competitive days are behind us. It is about the young girls who aspire to greatness and the future generation of female athletes out there. That's who we're fighting for here. It's time for women to take back our rights and to take back our sports. Thank you all so much.
These next two athletes are both members of the Roanoke College swim team. They were confronted with a male swimmer who wished to switch to their women's team at the start of this season. Together with the rest of their swim team, they advocated for their rights to their athletic department and to the public. Please welcome Juliana Maro and Cara Saterfield.
Hello, my name is Juliana Maro, and I'm a sophomore on the women's swim team at Roanoke College and a plaintiff in the lawsuit against the NCAA. I swim for a small D3 college in the mountains in Virginia. I would never have expected to be in a position where I needed to take a stand that could have a wide-reaching impact on the rights of women and girls. 2 years ago, we all saw what happened to the women at the very top of collegiate swimming. The NCAA has done nothing to right that wrong, and this year I face a similar situation. I started on a competitive swim team my freshman year of high school and fell in love with the sport. With the support of my coach, I was able to improve enough to achieve my dream of swimming on a college team. I do not want my fellow female athletes, friends, or family who are still in high school to have to go through what I've been through this season. I want them to have the ability to compete at a college level without having to worry if the NCAA will continue to dismiss fair competition for women as unimportant and violate federal law. At the start of this season, after the team meeting with the trans athlete who wanted to join our team, I remember talking with my teammates. We all felt hopeless and abandoned, knowing that the impact on us was not a serious consideration. Our team records were not important enough to be secured for female athletes. Knowing our team would be competing against other women and robbing them of opportunities and the joy of real competition. We saw our future and the fairness in our sport crumbling around us. Our mental well-being was dismissed during this. No one asked us how we were doing. No one understood how small this made us feel. I watched my teammates cry, and they watched me sob as well. We felt sick, talked to our administration, wrote letters, and had trouble sleeping and concentrating on school. We asked ourselves a question no woman should have to ask: who was going to care about us? We're only Division III. The answer is that the NCAA has a duty to uphold the rights of every athlete, from a Division I champion to Division III female who just made the team. They have a responsibility to honor all of our rights to privacy, dignity, and equal opportunities, but that was not our experience. Unfortunately, I know my team is not the only women's team that has had the rug pulled out from underneath them by the NCAA. When a male athlete seeks to join a women athletic team, I know women are frightened to speak up. I'm here today, and I'm here because I can be, because I know I cannot let this happen again. Women have to know that they matter and that they deserve to be treated and respected with fairness. My participation in swimming is important enough to warrant fair opportunities, and I shouldn't have to feel otherwise. My next 2 years and those of my team should be governed by good policies that protect us. No female athlete should have to go and beg their school's administration for fairness or question if they matter enough ever again. Thank you.
My name is Carter Saterfield, and I'm also a sophomore on the Roanoke College women's swim team and a plaintiff in the lawsuit against the NCAA. I have been a competitive swimmer since I was little, and competing in college athletics has been an important part of my life and my education. It is absurd to me that the biological differences between male and female is something that has to be proven or shown by women in court. It is sad to me that organizations put in place to protect the integrity of my sport are failing to protect women. The NCAA has not just failed me and female athletes, they have also failed our coaches and our schools and anyone caught in these policies, because none of us should have ever been put in this situation. It should never have been an option for a man to swim with females. If I can save even one women's swim team, or team at all, from what my teammates and I have been through, it is worth it for me to be up here. The experience of a male athlete joining our women's team left me feeling helpless, confused, and gaslighted. The emotional turmoil and frustration tested us every day. We felt the weight of being told someone else's mental health was our burden and our responsibility to carry. It was too heavy of a load. What was asked of us was not just unfair, it was cruel. It is cruel to the women on our team and to all of the women's teams we would compete against. We felt the joy being taken from our sport. And we felt exhausted from the toll of mandatory meetings night after night, where we were talking and talking, but not feeling heard and not making a difference. That is why I'm here today. Through this experience, I've learned that you can't wait for others to stand up for you. We thought that the NCAA would stand up for us. We thought people in positions of leadership would know how to do the right things. But we've learned that we'll have to advocate and stand up for ourselves. So, I'm here today as a plaintiff in this lawsuit, fighting not just for myself and my team, but for the generations of women who will face this unfairness if we don't win. Women deserve respect and fairness. We deserve not to have to face males in our competitions and in our locker rooms. Women cannot continue to live in fear and hide behind what might happen if we speak out. So here I am, speaking out now in the fight to make a change for the girls and women who come after me. I'm calling on the NCAA to protect female athletes and grant us fair sports in every sport and at all levels. I am calling on the government leadership and educational institutions to stand with us against the NCAA and recognize that girls and women at every level deserve to know that they are valuable enough to be given a fair race. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce Cara Dansky. She is the president of WDI, the Women's Declaration International, and also an author and former senior counsel at the ACLU. Please welcome Cara.
Thanks, Marcy. Good afternoon, everyone. As Marcy said, my name is Cara Dansky, and I'm the president of the U.S. chapter of Women's Declaration International. In the fight to protect the sex-based rights of women and girls, people often ask, where are the feminists? Well, I'm here today to tell you that the feminists are standing strong in support of female-only sports and spaces and in support of the female athlete plaintiffs in this lawsuit. Speaking solely for myself, I'm a lifelong Democrat who is ideologically left of the Democratic Party. From a leftist feminist perspective, so-called gender identity is a regressive, sexist, homophobic concept that has no business being enshrined in law or policy. Democratic Party leadership must change course on this topic, and it must do so immediately. I'm a daughter of the second wave movement for women's liberation, which hailed from the political left. Those feminists didn't fight to secure women's sex-based rights, including Title IX, only to have them all thrown under the bus at the altar of the regressive concept of gender identity. So, for anyone tempted to ask, where are the feminists? I'm here today to say that we're right here, standing alongside these amazing female athletes to say no to men in women's sports and spaces. Women's Declaration International works to advance women's sex-based rights all over the world. We do so by promoting the Declaration on Women's Sex-Based Rights, which challenges the discrimination and oppression we experience from the replacement of the category of sex with that of so-called gender identity in law and policy. Our work is grounded in leftist radical feminist principles. We're leftists, we're feminists. We are women of every race, religion, and background. We are lesbians, bisexual, and straight women. We fight for women and girls as a sex class, and we invite like-minded women and the men who care about them to join us in this stand against discrimination. We reaffirm women's rights to the same opportunities as men to participate actively in sports and education. That includes the right to female-only sports, including every single athletic event or competition sponsored by the NCAA. We reaffirm the need for the elimination of violence against women and girls. This includes the right of women and girls to have female-only spaces, including locker rooms. Until recently, everyone in society seemed to understand that men who invaded women's intimate spaces were rightly shamed and charged with criminal offenses. That understanding seems to have gone out the window today with the embrace of gender identity, including in NCAA policy. Today, if a man like Leah Thomas says that he, quote, is transgender, or that he has a gender identity that is different from his sex, our laws, policies, and institutions simply hold the doors wide open for him to access places where women and girls are nude or otherwise in a state of vulnerability. It is shameful that institutions like the NCAA permit and even encourage this. Women's Declaration International is a nonpartisan organization that works with groups across the political spectrum. We do not align with the current stance of the Democratic Party leadership when they advocate for men to be in women's sports, spaces, and language. We oppose the erasure of women's sex-based protections and recognition in law. Respect for women must prevail in this case and in the NCAA. Thank you.
Thank you all. We have a unique opportunity to hear from, we've had the unique opportunity here to hear from female athletes and to continue to hear from them as this case goes forward, their families and their coaches. This network that we've created, Icons, has made it possible to bring together this group of plaintiffs, and we have a window to add more to this suit. If you are a current female athlete in the NCAA who has experienced similar injustice on your team or in your conference, please reach out to us. If you have insider information that you can share to help these athletes defend their rights in court, the legal team would also like to speak with you. Please contact us at takeonthencaa.com. Again, that's takeonthencaa.com. Thank you for your time.